Well, I mean, they have more limitations than we do, but not as bad as Europe. All firearms have to go on a license. You can have, I think, three guns on your license, unless you're a farmer or a collector. There are certain permits that let you have a few more, but most people can only have 3 guns. And one of the problems with air guns over there is anything over a 177 rifle was considered a firearm. So if I had a 22 or 25 caliber air rifle over there before, I don't think it's the same, but it was at that time. Might still be. That would take one of my guns off my list. So if I wanted to have a shotgun, I wanted a big bore gun, and I wanted a handgun for home protection, and I took an air gun, I had to get rid of one of those 3. So yeah, they didn't take off at the time, though there are more people buying them there now and using them. They have a forum there for big bore and for standard air guns. And so I think they might have loosened the laws up. I'm not completely sure. Last time I was there was 3 years ago. And I was going to go this year, and fortunately that's not going to happen. But big bores has always been a different thing over there. It's always been handled as a firearm. Matter of fact, in a minute I can come back and tell you, I did the first hunt in South Africa. I was approved by the government in the Eastern Cape Game Association. I did the first hunts in South Africa about 3 years. I think I brought Randy Mitchell and Eric over on my 3rd trip over with air guns. Right. So I got the approval a couple years before that.
Right.
So you know, our big bores going over there, they were treated just like firearms. We filled out all the SAP, the South African police forms. We had all the permits. We registered them everywhere we moved. And it was pretty restrictive. You know, when you fly into South Africa, you have to sign your guns into the country. Then if you're flying to another airport, you have to sign out of the airport you just signed into. You have to sign into the airport you land in. You have to sign out to take your gun out. You have to sign back in when you bring your guns back in. You can't leave the country if you don't have the gun you brought in.
It seems like a lot of work to try to catch a connecting flight.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I got stuck over there. This is a story that's way too long for this, but
come on.
I got stuck over there for 6 days because I couldn't get flights out.
No way. So what is it like though when you said that you did some of the first hunts with the game commission there? Talk to me about that, because that's always an interesting thing. I know Eric had he had gone and hunted with the game commission down in Texas and helped them see the effectiveness. What's it like doing that in a different country where you're trying to explain the power of these guns?
I have 2 friends that are professional hunters in South Africa on the Eastern Cape, and one guy owns a farm. They call everything a farm. It's more of a ranch, but they call them a farm. And South Africa is a lot like Texas in that there isn't very much public land. It's all private.
Right.
So you have to have places to hunt. And I talked to the 2 guys I know, Andrew Myers and Rob Dell. Rob owns the property. Andrew owns a business in town in Port Elizabeth. But Andrew had actually lived in the UK, and he started air gunning while he was there. And I forget how we got in contact. Somebody put us together to talk. And we started talking about me coming down with some of my standard air guns to do some hunts. And I said, hey, have you ever heard of big bore air guns? And he said, no. I said, oh, I'd like to try to hunt something bigger with them. He goes, you're crazy. I said, no, look, let me send you the ballistics. I'll send you all the ballistics on the guns that I've got. And I was using at that time, a 308, a 457, and a 50 caliber. And the 50 caliber was doing about 500 foot-pound, which was a huge amount for that time. And I said, let me send you that information, and then let's talk again. And I sent it. He said, well, he goes, I think it could do it, but I don't think it's going to be legal, but let me look into it. And he came back and said, look, I talked to the Ministry of Tourism. For some reason, they oversee hunting. And they put me in contact with the Eastern Cape Game Management. I talked to all of them, and they said, you can do it. They'll issue a special permit to come in and do it. But what they want is for you to let them come and inspect what you're doing, and for you to write a report on what you've done afterwards that they can use in discussions in legislature.
Right.
So I said, fine. I went down and we went out. I think my first animal I took after the first day we were out there was a spindly horned little springbuck that I got on a running shot 50 yards after we'd done a long stalk. And they were pretty impressed. My friends, the PHs, were pretty impressed. It dropped her. She took like 4 steps and dropped. And then we continued hunting. And about 3 days into it, the reps from the Ministry of Tourism and Eastern Game Management Association came out, and they wanted to look first at the game. So they took the game I had shot. It was skinned out. They went through and they looked at the entries. They looked at the wound expansion, the penetration. They kind of talked through with us the hunt, what happened when the animal was hit. Then we took them out on the range and that Rob has on his farm, and we shot the guns for a couple hours. Went back and had lunch. We talked through it, and they said, "Okay, this looks good. We don't have a problem with this. Go ahead and continue your hunt." And I found out afterwards this was kind of a check whether they're going to let me go or not. I might have been sitting in South Africa for another 6 days without being able to hunt. 7 days. So anyway, we finished out the hunt. I wrote the report. It went through. They came back and said, "Look, to change legislature will be exceedingly difficult to get this through. But what we're going to do is allow air gun hunters to come in through permits. So the PH can fill out the request and the invitation the same as they normally would, and we'll approve those with the air guns." So that was actually what kind of gave the approval for air guns to start coming through. So it wasn't pushed through in legislature to put it on, officially on as a method of take, but it was stated somewhere in their documentation that it would be allowed, it would be approved on a per basis, a per hunt basis. And so that's what's happening. And I've been back 7 or 8 times since. I went on another trip and brought a guy who you need to talk to. Kip Perot is another real active big bore air gunner.
Okay.
I took Kip and a couple of other guys with me on that trip. That was about 2 or 3 years after, about 3 years after Eric and Randy and I went.
Okay.
Maybe 4. And Kip works for one of the big air gun companies. And they said, "Well, you know what? Take a couple of our guns. We'll send a compressor down for you." So they actually gave my friends a compressor. So sitting out at the ranch right now, we've got a compressor. Before that, we used to have to go out and try to borrow every high-pressure tank in the country.
Yeah.
There weren't that many carbon fiber tanks around, and I needed to be able to fill up to 3,500, 4,000 PSI for some of my guns.
Right.